Yo guys, I'm HP, this is Dr. Pink, and today's topic is basic jazz guitar improvisation 3. We are talking about a 1, 6, 2, 5, 5 progression. What is that? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, and also join the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. If you have any questions, you can ask there. This tutorial is part of an entire course which shall take you from zero to hero when it comes to jazz guitar improvisation. Unfortunately, jazz guitar or any jazz improvisation is quite a task when it comes to theoretical knowledge. If you don't know it at all, it's like a huge mountain which you probably don't want to climb because you think, I will never make it. And this course shall really take you step by step through all the stuff you need to know, but still having some fun by already playing stuff and understanding stuff, and also building up knowledge to master the fretboard. Because one of the main, when you're coming from the pentatonics, you probably, you divided your fretboard with the pentatonics with the 5 positions, and that's it. But when it comes to jazz, you have to have a more, let's say, sophisticated way of dividing the fretboard in several spots, and that's what it's all about. So, as I already said, today we're going to talk about the 1, 6 to 5 progression. What is the 2-5? Exactly. The normal progression would be in a major key 1, C major 7 to 6, A minor 7 to D minor 7 to G7. But now we have a dominant 7 chord on the 2, and we call this a 2-5 progression. Progression. So 1, 6 to 5 to 5 to back to 1. So the D7 chord is called a secondary dominant. What is that? It's a dominant chord which is on any position except the 5th position, in this case the G7. And since you're in C major, when you play a D7 chord, there's one note which doesn't fit in the C major key, and then we also recognize we have a secondary dominant. And secondary dominant always needs to resolve. It resolves always a 5th down or a 4th above, in this case to the G. Always needs to resolve to one of the 7 diatonic positions in a major key. Sounded really complicated, I know, but in the practical use it's quite easy. So let's get started on the close view. So now let's first play the chords. C major 7 to A minor 7 to D7 to G7. You can play it along with the backing track. Sounds already cool, but now we start to using these are the basic chords. They are there to help you again with the orientation on the fretboard, but now we want to start using the regular chords, which are way easier to grab, but the orientation is mostly the problem. So when we want to do a C major 7, instead we can play this. It's really easy to grab, bar in the 3rd, bar in the 2nd. This is called a C6-9 chord. If you have a bass player, then it starts to sound the way it should. This note is played by the bass, so if you have a bass player, you don't need to play the bass, you just play the upper structure of the chord. So we have a C6-9, okay? On the A minor, I played the upper part of this, and now we're gonna add an additional note here, part of C major. This is an A minor 9. This is called an option. I will come to options. Options are a big thing in jazz, you know. I just want to first let you know that there are options. We're going to talk about theory in detail later, and it's going to be a lot of examples, but for now this is just an A minor 9. Then instead of this D7, which sounds really cheesy, we take this here. This is a D9 chord here, 4th fret, 5, 5, 5. And instead of the G7, we play this one here. This is a G13 chord. So we now, instead of this, which sounds quite cheesy, I would say, we play Let's try this now. It's quite cool. Now, let's check a second set of chords. The cool thing with these chords, the shape of the chords doesn't change so much. You can play this chord up here. This also matches a C. This is again a C6-9. So you take this here, okay? And instead of this A minor 9, we take this here. Again an A minor 9. And now for the D, we make this one here from the G13. On the G, we make the one from D before. So as I said, the shapes stay the same, but you just move positions, and the original basic chords, they help you to find orientation, okay? So let's do the second set. So now it sounds like real jazz. Is easy to grab, but the understanding is probably quite hard. You just start somewhere just doing these chords and always see them in relation to the basic chords. So this is a C is related to this. This one here is related to this. This one here is related to this. And this one here is related to this. That's the way you build up your knowledge and your repertoire of chords. So let's go to the next step now. Now, what modes are played over these chords? Three of them are already clear if you watched the tutorial of number 1 and number 2. So we play C Ionian, on C, you play A, Aeolian over A. Now what we're doing, on the D, the normal one on the second step in the diatonic chord progression would be Dorian, but now we have a D7. Now here comes a trick. You replace the one note which changes. You take the mode will be Dorian. Now, instead of a F, we play a F sharp. This leads us to D Mixolydian. So you just check out, you just replace the one note which has changed in the original mode, and then you know which mode it's gonna is played, so it's Mixolydian. And on the G, that's the original one, of course, to Mixolydian. Good, so we have these 4 modes. Let's play them. Let's do a little exercise. I know if it's stuff is really complicated, I strongly recommend that you also get the files which come with this tutorial. They're available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. The backing track plus the tabs of the stuff I'm talking about here. Okay, so now we play a little exercise. We do this here. Now we move this through the modes. So on the C Ionian, we play the root note to the triad and we stop on the 5th. Then we move this motif to A minor. We switch the mode. Here on D, the same, we just switch the mode. And on the G, we switch the mode. Let's do that. Now I played it in the lower position. You can also do the same thing in the higher position. You just need to transpose. It starts on the root, goes over the 2 to the triad to the 5th. So you transpose this in the octave on the A minor, on the D, and on the G. So let's do this. Okay. So, and I stayed in the patterns which I showed at the beginning. And these patterns, they help you to get the overview of the entire fretboard. I will come to this in a later tutorial. I cannot do everything in one tutorial. Okay, so now we try something regular soloing. You go up in one position, down in the next. So let's do this now. So we take this, now we go down from the A minor, up again in the D, and down in the G. Let's do this. And so on. Okay, good. Let's do a last exercise for today. As the main topic today is understanding what is a secondary dominant, follow the modes, and also learn the chords, different chord shapes, and bring them in connection with the basic chord. Okay, so now we do a last thing now. We do again up and down. So, but now we play through. We play C major 7 up. And now we want to go down from the A minor. But this note here is not a chord note. Because this is the root of the C, but the triad from the A minor. So we want to now do a next note and be on a chord note again. So there comes the trick. You add a chromatic key 1 that you come here. You're ready here to go back down. That's a trick, and that's where the bebop scale comes from, or all this chromatic stuff come from in jazz, it's because you want to have this up and down movement, and it has to resolve nicely. And so now we go down in A minor, up again in the G mixolydian. Here comes the chromatic one, and back down in the G mixolydian. And it resolves perfectly here, back here. So the whole thing I play with the backing track. And that's it. You see how perfectly it resolves. It's with this trick with the chromatic note. Somewhere you can do it any spot you want. There are preferred places, but there's not really a rule where you can do that. But the thing is that you have this up-down movement, you know. At the end, you always have these up-down movements. And this is a really basic thing you need to understand. You can do this with any progression. It should resolve somehow, and you check how it resolves, if you need to do a chromatic one or not, that it resolves. That's the way to go. Yo guys, that was basic jazz guitar improvisation 3. Learning what is first secondary dominant, learn to use the modes more, and also learn to connect the real chords with the basic chords. These are 3 tasks at once. And I know it's a complicated topic. Take your time on this. And once the coin dropped, you can move on to the next tutorial, because always the next tutorial, I think, I suppose that you already know or understood what we had in the previous tutorial. If this one was too hard for you, go back to the basic jazz guitar 1 or 2, or also do both of them if it was really too hard for you. Okay. I've written down everything I just was talking about. These examples, the modes, the chords. They're available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. If you need any kind of assistance, you can also go there, open up your own students blog, and I can help you to get through this process. And the backing track is also available there for download. Yo, me and Dr. Pick are saying goodbye for today.